Everyone's teeth had fell out but horrid Henry's. The next person who so much mentioned the word tooth had better watch out. Henry, shouted a squeaky little voice, where are you?
Didn't tell me what happened.
Horrid Henry hid behind the branches. I know you're in the fort, Henry, said Perfect Peter. Go away, said Henry. Look, Henry, said Peter, I've got something wonderful to show you. Henry scowled. What? You have to see it, said Peter. Peter never had anything good to show. His idea of something wonderful was a new stamp or a book about plants. Or a gold star from his teacher saying how perfect it'd been. Still.
Will this be 1 minute?
Don't know. Henry crawled out. This had better be good, he said, or you're in big trouble. Peter held out his fist and opened it. There was something small and white in Peter's hand. It looked like, oh no, it couldn't be. Henry stared at Peter. Peter smiled as wide as he could and Henry's jaw dropped. This was impossible. His eyes must be playing tricks on him. Henry blinked and he blinked again. His eyes were not playing tricks. Perfect Peter, his younger brother, had a black gap at the bottom of his mouth where a tooth had been. Henry grabbed Peter. You've coloured in your tooth with a black crayon, you faker. I have not, shrieked Peter. It fell out, you see. Peter proudly poked his finger through the hole in his mouth. It was true. Perfect Peter had lost a tooth. Henry felt as if a fist had slammed into his stomach. Told you, said Peter. He smiled again at Henry. Henry could not bear to look at Peter's gappy teeth a second longer. This was the worst thing that had ever happened to him. I hate you, shouted Peter. Shouted Henry. It was a volcano pouring hot molten lava onto the puny human foolish enough to get in his way. Ah! Shrieked Peter, dropping the tooth. Henry grabbed it. Ow! Yelped Peter. Give me my tooth. Stop being horrid, Henry, shouted Mum. Henry dangled a tooth in front of Peter. Na 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 na, said Henry. Peter burst into tears. Give me my tooth back, screamed Peter. Mum ran into the garden. Give Peter his tooth this minute, said Mum. No, said Henry. Mum looked fierce. She put out her hand. Give it to me right now. Henry dropped the tooth on the ground. There, said horrid Henry. That's it, Henry, said Mum. No pudding tonight. Henry was too miserable to care. Peter scooped up his tooth. Look, Mum, said Peter. My big boy, said Mum, giving him a hug. How wonderful. I'm going to use my money from the Tooth Fairy to buy some stamps for my collection, said Peter. What a good idea, said Mum. Henry stuck out his tongue. Henry's sticking out his tongue at me, said Peter. Stop it, Henry, said Mum. Peter, keep that tooth safe for the Tooth Fairy. I will, said Peter. He closed his fist tightly around the tooth. Henry sat in his fort. If the tooth wouldn't fall out, he would have to help it. But what to do? He could take a hammer and smash one out, or he could tie string around a tooth, tie the string around a door handle and slam the door. Eek! Henry grabbed his jaw. On second thoughts, perhaps not. Maybe there was a less painful way of
That's what
losing
Mr.
the tooth.
Bean tried to do when he had a toothache.
Did he?
Yeah.
Was it
And then the second time, guess what he tried to do?
Eat too many sweets.
Guess what the second time he tried to do?
Tell me after this thing.
He tried to jump out the window on a chair.
And he horrid Henry.
Yeah, with some one of the little stringies, what you lie down on.
Henry sneaked right
And
into
then,
the
Mum.
kitchen and he looked to the right and he looked to the left. No one was there. From the sitting room came the screechy, scratchy sound.
And then, Mum,
in his cello.
third
Wasting
time,
the battery on that.
he tried to get someone to knock it out by putting it in the road, and then but a car went under it, and then and then a motorbike knocked it out. Well, a motorbike didn't knock it out. It just went past it and then hurt him. And then he had some popcorn because that's what gave him his toothache. Yeah, he had some and he tried to get it out and then it was tooth and then he ate it again.
Henry
But
down in
then
the cupboard.
he had a whistle noise, so he tried.
You're wasting your
So he
battery.
tried going it in right, and then he glued to his finger and but he got his dinosaur thingy, his triceratops's spike, and then pull it in as a tooth.
Where Mum kept the sweet jar. Sweet day was Saturday and today was Thursday, 2 whole days before he got into trouble. Henry stuffed as many sticky sweets into his mouth as fast as he could. Chomp, 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 chew, chomp, chew. Chomp-a-chew, chomp-a-chew, chomp-a-chomp-a-chomp-a-chomp-a-chew. Henry Henry's jaw started to slow down. He put the last sticky toffee in his mouth and forced his teeth to move up and down. Henry started to feel sick. His teeth felt even sicker. He wiggled them hopefully. After all that sugar, one was sure to fall out. He could see all the comics he would buy with his pound already. Henry wiggled his teeth again, and again nothing moved. Rats, thought Henry. His mouth hurt, his gums hurt, his tummy hurt. What did a boy have to do to get a tooth? Then Henry had a wonderful, spectacular idea. It was so wonderful that he hugged himself. Why should Peter get a pound from the tooth fairy? Henry would get that pound, not him. And how simple he would trick the tooth fairy.
How?
I'm not reading this.
How many more pages?
About 3. The house was quiet. Henry tiptoed into Peter's room. There was Peter, sound asleep, a big smile on his face. Henry sneaked his hand under Peter's pillow and stole the tooth. Tee-hee, thought Henry. He tiptoed out of Peter's room and bumped into Mum. Ah, shrieked Henry. Ah, shrieked Mum. You scared me, said Henry. What are you doing, said Mum. Nothing, said Henry. I thought I heard a noise in Peter's room and I went to check. Mum looked at Henry. Henry tried to look sweet. Go back to bed, Henry, said Mum. Henry scampered to his room and put his tooth under his pillow. Phew, that was a close call. Henry smiled.
I remember this episode. I think we've read it in one of those books.
No, don't. That crybaby.
I remember, and I think we read it in one of those books.
That crybaby.
I watched that. I watched last night. I watched it, right? And I think I'd read it in that book.
Henry woke up and felt under his pillow. The tooth was gone. Hooray, thought Henry. Now for the money. Henry searched under the pillow. He searched on top of the pillow. He searched under the covers, under Teddy, under the bed. Everywhere there was no money. Henry heard Peter's footsteps pounding down the hall. Mum, Dad, look, said Peter. A whole pound from the tooth fairy. Great, said Mum. Wonderful, said Dad. What, thought Henry. Shall I share it with you, Mum? Said Peter. Thank you, darling Peter, but no thanks, said Mum. It's for you. I'll have it, said Henry. There are lots of comics I want to buy, and some... No, said Peter, it's mine. Get your own tooth. Henry started at his brother. Peter would never have dared to speak to him like that before. Horrid Henry pretended he was a pirate captain pushing a prisoner off the plank. Ow, shrieked Peter. Don't be horrid, Henry, said Dad. Henry decided to change the subject fast. Mum, said Henry, how does the tooth fairy know who's lost a tooth? She looks under the pillow, said Mum. But how does she know whose pillow to look under? She just does, said Mum, by magic. But how, said Henry. She sees the gap between your teeth, said Mum. Aha, thought Henry, that's where he'd gone wrong. That night, Henry cut out a small piece of black paper, wet it and covered over his 2 bottom teeth. He smiled at himself in the mirror. Perfect, thought Henry. He smiled again. Then Henry stuck a pair of Dracula teeth under his pillow. He tied a string around the biggest tooth and tied the string to his finger. When the tooth fairy came, the string would pull on his finger and wake him up. All right, tooth fairy, thought Henry, you think you're so smart. Find your way out of this one. The next morning was Saturday. Henry woke up and felt under his pillow. The string was still attached to his finger, but the Dracula teeth were gone. In their place was something small and round. My pound coin, crowed Henry. He grabbed it. The pound coin was plastic. There must be some mistake, thought Henry.
Rubber.
He checked under the pillow and again, but all he found was a folded piece of bright blue paper covered in stars. Henry opened it. There in tiny gold letters he read, Nice try, Henry the Tooth Fairy. Rats, said Henry. From downstairs came the sound of Mum shouting, Henry, get here this minute. What now, muttered Henry, heaving his heavy bones out of bed. Yeah, said Henry. Mum held up an empty jar. Well, said Mum. Henry had forgotten about all the sweets. It wasn't me, said Henry automatically. We must have mice. No sweets for a month, said Mum. You'll eat apples instead. You can start right now. Ugh, apples. Henry hated all fruit and vegetables, but apples were the worst. Oh no, said Henry. Oh yes, said Mum. Right now.
I've got a whole worm in it.
What?
I've got a whole worm in it.
Henry took the apple.
I think I've always had that.
Teeniest, tiniest piece he could. Crunch, crunch.
Have you always had that all?
Oh, I don't know, Tristan. Henry choked and he swallowed, gasping and spluttering. His mouth felt funny. Henry poked around with his tongue and felt a space. He shoved his fingers in his tongue and then ran to the mirror. His tooth was gone. He'd swallowed it. It's not fair, shrieked horrid Henry. What hole